anyway, so Winnie the Pooh is going to be the one today I'm going to be doing the demonstration on. And so grooming's really important for rabbits. Of course, rabbits groom themselves, so you'll often see your rabbit scratching his ears. What he's doing is loosening the wax and then shaking the head to get the wax out. You'll also see them continually grooming themselves to get their hair off. So rabbits that live in the wild, they dig burrows, which helps shorten their nails. They run through bushes and all over, which gets their hair off. Well, we have house rabbits, so what do our rabbits do? They like to lounge around. And so all that hair doesn't come off naturally, their nails grow, so we have to take care of that. And I'm sure all of you know we do grooming here, so we do nail trims and scent gland cleanings at the weekend. There's no charge, we just ask for a couple of dollars in the donation jar, if you can do it. If not, you can still come for that. And then we also do full grooming appointments where you come for a half-hour grooming appointment and then I take care of everything on the bunny. And then we're also doing shave downs now. But it's always good to know how to do it, so you can do it at home if you need to. You can still come to us as well. But it's important to get the hair off, and one of the reasons is because rabbits continually groom themselves. When they're shedding, you know how much hair there is, they're ingesting a lot of that hair. And what happens is the hair goes into their system and it can get stuck in there with food and other things and can go into GI stasis. And GI stasis is when a rabbit's whole GI system slows down, it can stop, and that can be deadly for a rabbit. If that does happen, you have to get to a rabbit veterinarian right away for sub-Q fluids, pain meds, GI stimulant medications, and depending on the severity, you often have to syringe feed your rabbit to get your rabbit better. And some rabbits don't make it, so it's really important to keep your bunny groomed. Cats groom themselves as well, just like a rabbit. But rabbits cannot vomit. So cats vomit up a hairball, there's the hair. Rabbits can't do that. So another thing that's important is a very high fiber diet, meaning lots and lots of hay, unlimited all the time, because that's the fiber that helps move everything through. Because hair does go into their system, but it does come out when they're on the right diet. So anyway, so that's one of the really important reasons. Plus, you know, you want to keep your bunny nice and groomed, and then when you're brushing and getting all that hair off, you're not going to find it everywhere in your house either. So bless you. All right, so we're going to start with the nails. Some rabbits are comfortable in this position, but some aren't. So there's different ways to do it, and there's not just one way to do grooming. You have to feel what's comfortable for you and what's comfortable for your rabbit. I like to just gently lay the bunny back in my arms, and then this way it shows the feet easily for me. Can you see, find some grooming scissors? That's the one thing I didn't put out. There should be some. There we go. Thanks. Perfect. Okay, so, and if anybody wants to come up and look closely, feel free to. So what we're doing with the nails is these nails are a light color, which makes it easy to see the quick. And so where you can see the quick goes so far up the nail, and then you can see the clear nail. So you do not want to cut the quick, because it will bleed, and it can bleed a lot. And you also don't want to cut too close to the quick because it's painful for them. So generally what I do is I find the end of the quick, and then I cut halfway from the end of the quick and the end of the nail. And you want to do it quickly. You don't want to hold on too long, because some rabbits will pull their nails back, pull their foot back, and the nail will come out. So just something to watch out for. And so basically these are the nail trimmers. I like small ones like this. Some people like other ones. It's whatever you're comfortable with, but these for me are really easy and they cut very well. And so you're just going to find where that is and just snip. Now he moved, but that's okay. It didn't hurt him or anything. So sometimes people are worried because of the reaction to their rabbit and they don't want to do anymore. Well, the rabbit's totally fine, as you can see. Okay, and so basically, yeah, we're just going to go through and do this. See, he moved again, but he's fine. And then some rabbits, as you know, have dark nails, and then it's hard to see the quick. And so what we suggest for that, and if anybody's doing that today, we'll show you, we'll do a demonstration of that if anyone has bunny with dark nails, is we use a little flashlight. And what you can do is you put this behind the nail, and then you can see the quick. And you can even get a little black marker, and you can just mark so you can see where the quick is, and then you know that's a guide, that's where the quick ends, so you know where to cut. And you don't need to be worried about doing it. It just takes practice. A lot of people are very worried about hurting their rabbit, which of course none of us want to hurt a bunny, so to do it the correct way is important. And sometimes If you're living with someone else, one person can hold the bunny and the other person can cut the nails. That's a really good way to practice. And the more you do it, the easier it will become. You can see Winnie the Pooh is being very good. Some bunnies are very good and some bunnies are a little bit naughty.
That's what I'm like. Mine's going to be that one.
What happens is, a lot of times when people are doing this, they're very apprehensive, and your rabbit knows, your rabbit normally gets whatever they want, right? And so when you're feeling apprehensive, the rabbit can sense that, the rabbit's apprehensive, and the rabbit's feeling, oh my gosh, if she's scared, I'm out of here, and take off, right? So one very important thing to know about grooming is how to pick up and hold your rabbit. So it's easier to hold them when they're already on your lap, but one thing I do, every time I give my rabbits a treat, I make a tutting sound. I go, the minute I do that in my house, no matter where I am, rabbits come running to me, right? Every morning, whenever I do it. So it's really good to do that. I even do it when I give them the hay, the veggies, so they know that sound means food. What's also good about that, if there's an emergency and you've got to get out of your house for whatever reason, you have a way to get your rabbit quickly. So start doing that, it really helps. And rabbits are smart, they know when the carrier comes out, that means, oh no, we're going to the vet or we're going somewhere. But what you can do is start leaving your carrier in the room on some days so they kind of get used to it. And so for getting your rabbit, to pick up your rabbit, what I do, I call the seatbelt hold. And this finger goes across like a seatbelt. This thumb goes around the rib cage, and these three fingers go around the other side of the rib cage. So I call it the seatbelt hold. So you slip underneath, and this works with any size rabbit, apart from the huge Flemish Giants, which is a slightly different version. And then when you pick them up, pull them up to you, and then you're putting the weight of the rabbit on your hand. So see, he's perfectly calm, and most rabbits are fine with this. I would say 99% of them. So in that, this takes practice as well. He's being such a good boy. And the best way to practice is sitting on the floor or kneeling on the floor. So that way, if the rabbit scrambles, you can put them down. But what happens is, if your rabbit scrambles and you keep putting them down, they realize that. So it's like, okay, they're going to try picking me up again. So when you pick them up, the rabbit's going to scramble, and you're like, oh, no, no. You put the rabbit down, give him a treat. So now the rabbit's like, great, I just have to do that, and they're never going to pick me up, and I'm going to get a treat afterwards, right? So you're the boss, not the rabbit. So you have to be able to pick up your rabbit. And another reason is not just for grooming. If there's an emergency, if you have to get out of the house in a rush, you've got to be able to get your rabbit in a carrier and out the door. So don't be timid when picking up your rabbit. I have a firm grip on the rabbit. I'm not holding the rabbit loosely like I would if I was picking up my cat or even my dog. It would be a lot looser. I'm not squeezing, but it's firm. And then we're all going to practice this today too. So pick up, see my finger is right here. That's going across like the seatbelt, and then these fingers are around the rib cage, my thumb is around the rib cage, and it always helps to have the rabbit up against you. They need to feel safe and secure, and if they don't, that's when they're going to wiggle, try to get down. And I'm sure you know, rabbits are very delicate, so it is easy for them to hurt themselves. So that's why it's really good to practice on the floor, get comfortable with it, and before you know it, you'll be able to pick up your bunny. All right, so once you know how to pick up your bunny and you've got your bunny on your lap for grooming, I always suggest having a towel. It makes it a lot easier for them rather than their feet slip between your legs and everything, then they don't feel uncomfortable. And then you want to get all your grooming items ready before you start. Some rabbits do tend to be a little bit naughty, and if you're doing it right in the room where they live or where they normally are, they're just like, oh, I don't want to do this, and they'll try to get away. So you can always go to a different room, or if you have another area where they don't normally go, which is a little bit unfamiliar to them, that tends to help because they're a little bit more, what's going on, I better behave myself and be good and cooperate. So that helps too, right? And so you get everything ready, and it doesn't really matter which order you do everything. I generally just do the nails first, and then while you're doing grooming, it's a really good time to really check your rabbit all over. Rabbit sitting on your lap, look in your rabbit's ears, and what you're looking for is you want to make sure there's no debris in there, that there's no infection. Sometimes they'll have a little wax, which is okay, but if you see a lot of wax, that generally needs to be cleaned out. You have to be careful with their ears, of course, because of the eardrum. And if you do need to clean your rabbit's ears, generally I'll use Q-tips. And I will gently insert it and pull out a little bit of the wax. But if there's infection or if there's ear mites or anything like that, then you definitely want to go to the vet. to have the vet check that out and everything. Hi! Anyway, so that's important, and like I said, rabbits scratch and they shake their head, and you don't see the wax because it's little pieces, but that's how they keep their ears clean, and generally there's not going to be a problem with that. Older bunnies often can't use their back legs as well, or they have arthritis, and so it's harder for them to, and disabled bunnies. I have disabled and older bunnies, and I have to clean their ears out for them. I have to scratch their ears for them and do everything else, but that's another whole class about disabled bunnies. All right, and so what we're going to do next is we're going to do the scent glands. Now the scent glands, males and females have them. There's two, well there's actually more than two scent glands, but the scent glands we clean out, there's two of them, and they're either side of the genitals. So again, you want to pick up your bunny, make sure he's feeling safe and secure, and then to get to the scent glands, there are two little pockets of skin either side of the genitals. This is a scent gland. Okay, so what rabbits use, no, there's one either side, so this is one of them. What rabbits use scent glands for is when they're out in the wild, they're scenting, they're marking their territory, and this scent kind of gets on their poop, and they leave that around, so if other rabbits come around, they know, okay, this space is taken, this belongs to other group of rabbits. But here, we've made them couch potatoes now. They just land around, they don't have to use them, because rarely is there a rabbit they don't know that comes in to the home.
Which ones are the scent glands?
That's the scent gland right there. And so what happens is it does get clogged up. A lot of rabbits never have their scent, and then the water will just help it get loosened up, and you just wipe it all out.
Oh. Well, you don't have to, I missed it. You didn't express
No,
it
it's
like
not like a dog.
Yeah.
No, it's
Okay.
nothing like it. It's much easier than
clean
doing
it
a
out.
dog. Yeah, you just see it's closed like this. So here it is closed.
Okay.
And then we're opening
Okay,
it
so
up.
there's
We never cut the fur off the feet because the fur is their padding. It's almost as if this is their shoes. So they need this so that when they're walking, they're padded. Some bunnies, such as Rexes, don't have as much fur, and they can tend to get sore hocks. If you part the skin, almost every bunny has a little bare patch right here on the heel, which is normal. A lot of people find this for the first time and think, oh no, what's wrong? But that's normal. As long as it looks like this and dry. Rabbits that have lived in wire-bottom cages get really bad sore hocks because it cuts into their feet. They should never live on that. They actually can also get it just from being on like linoleum or flat surfaces. So that's why we always suggest have a rug or something in there, something soft, beds, things like that. Hopefully they don't chew them, but if they do get infected, they do need to be treated, and we normally put a topical antibiotic on there. I've actually rescued rabbits from some shelters that have not even been able to stand because their feet are so bad, and we've had to set up a cage with pillows so that they've got something really soft. And I do have photos on my phone I can show. No scabs, anything like that. It's just a good idea to check the tail. Everything should be fine with the tail too. All right, and so now, seeing that he's still in this position, we check the teeth. Even though the teeth aren't, we don't do from the side, and normally chewing like this, but they're not lined up, so they keep growing, in which case they have to be trimmed or removed. And we always remove the front teeth if they have that problem because it takes care of it. They don't have to keep going for tooth trims. They pull food in with their lips, and they chew with their cheek teeth. There can be problems with cheek teeth too, which we'll be doing more classes about that to go into details. Anyway, so I generally just check. If you're not comfortable doing it, you can just always bring them, when you come, and I can do it, because you definitely don't want to just flip your rabbit over and open the rabbit's mouth. The rabbit can, scramble to get up and really hurt itself. So it's something you need to be comfortable with. Anyway, so next what we're going to do is the brushing, which as you can see, he's a good candidate for brushing today. So rabbits have different types of fur. When I found these brushes years ago, I named it the best bunny brush. I love these brushes because they're rubber like this. They pull out the fur. It doesn't get all jammed in here like it would if you were using like a regular bristle brush. Oh, that's okay. Thank you, though. Thanks. So for most type bunnies, this is the type of brush I suggest. We do have a smaller version, but if you have a lion head where there's a lot of fluff, or if you have Angoras, generally the kind of brush I suggest for those is this wire kind. Okay, now lion heads have regular fur and the line mane and around the tail, so then you're going to need both. Okay, and then this is another I use in combination. This comb is great. We have all of this stuff at the store. The new version of these are purple. But anyway, this comb has rubber running through it, and what it does is it helps pull out the undercoat. It's really good for doing around the bottom, because I find there's always a lot of extra fur there because the rabbits aren't reaching around and being able to get to that as much. And so basically with this, you want your rabbit feeling safe on your lap, and you're just going to gently brush. Now when I'm holding him like this, I'm not holding the ears, I just have my hands on here. Just makes it more comfortable for me. Give him little strokes at the same time, and as you can see, this fur just starts flying out.
Do that outside.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, you're getting all the fur. And so when a rabbit is shedding like this, you need to be brushing this rabbit once or twice a day. Okay. So
Do they shed at a certain time of year?
what I find is, well, see, it's different places, because California, we have the cold winter, it's not that cold, but they do get a winter coat, even when living indoors and everything. And then what happens, all of a sudden in January we have a hot day, and then there's another hot day, so they start shedding, then it gets cold again, so then they stop. So this time of year, when we're done with all our cold days and it's starting to be 90, 100 degrees every day, they really blow their coat. And rabbits shed differently. Some will blow a lot of fur all at once, and others will shed, like a little bit over several days. But anyway, so it's really important to get this off, because if not, what's your bunny going to do? Your bunny's going to groom himself and ingest it. And if he has a bunny partner, which most bunnies do, that bunny partner is going to be grooming this bunny, and that bunny then is going to ingest all this fur. So it's really important, you're just going the same way the fur does, and don't forget you want to go around the edges here, you want to go all the way over the top, and then you want to go all the way around the back. We're going to do the butt area separately. I find if a rabbit is shedding really badly, I actually will even brush this way just to loosen it up. And it doesn't seem to bother the bunny at all when we do this. And then that way, when you're going back this way, you're going to get even more fur out. And you're not going to do this till there's no more fur flying, because that's called over-grooming. And what happens when you over-groom, you actually take off too much fur. And so you just basically, you'll get an idea. You'll see there's lots of loose fur coming out. So just keep doing it until you can see there's none of these little pieces sticking out, and that it's fur like this. A lot of times you'll see that there can be a line where all the new fur has come in and all the old fur is there. So you can see, okay, maybe all of this is new fur and then the old fur is around here. So you'll know to concentrate brushing where the old fur is. So generally, when a rabbit is shedding, like I said, you want to try and brush them every day. It doesn't have to be for a long time every day, but you want to get out majority of the loose fur. When they're not shedding, I generally suggest brushing them like 3 times a week, because they always are going to have some loose fur. That way you're going to get it off him. Your bunny area won't have as much fur everywhere, because you'll be just taking care of all that. Alright, one thing you don't want to do with these brushes is be talking on the phone or watching TV, not thinking about what you're doing, brushing. When you look down, you can have a bare patch, and you can irritate the skin, because then you're doing it on. And I have had people text me photographs in a panic. I don't know what happened to my rabbit. And were you brushing your rabbit? Yeah, you brushed it too long. So you have to be aware of what you're doing. Sometimes people, they're enjoying it, the bunny's enjoying it, you're just sitting doing it, but you can't do it too much. And so you just have to be aware of that. And like I said, practice makes perfect, so, just practice a little bit at a time and you'll get the hang of it. Okay, mister.
You said that your bunny is enjoying it. My bunnies don't enjoy it.
Well, okay, maybe when you've after the
Maybe
class.
it's me.
No, because what happens is they have to feel comfortable and relaxed. Like when bunnies come to me for grooming, I actually feel them kind of just melt, and their legs are hanging off. They're getting a good brushing. It's almost like like a little massage and everything. But a lot of it is just knowing how to hold your bunny, how to make your bunny feel comfortable. Yeah. So. And to, sometimes, like I said, if you do it in a different room than they're normally in, or a different area, that can help too, for them to sit still more. And once they sit still, feel safe, then they start to relax. So, don't worry, you're not alone. Yeah. So anyway, as you can see, we've got a lot of fur. There's still a lot more to get off him, but that we will do a little later. All right. And so, and that's another thing about this brush. It's so nice because you just, the fur just comes out. You know, it doesn't stay all stuck in there. Now we have face combs. This is actually a flea comb. Patrick, could you get, there's one, but it's cream and it's a different shape. It's long. Some bunnies need more grooming around the face, some don't. It all depends on your bunny. I know bunnies are being stroked on their face all the time and their head, and so what happens is, thank you, that fur doesn't tend to be as loose around there because we're stroking it off nearly all the time. But also you will notice that you can see little pieces that are just tough sticking higher. You can always just pull those out because they're not connected, and you'll sometimes find those around the cheek area, around the head. It's fine to do that. But what I'll do is I just get a little face comb. I like the ones with the handles better, but either work. And then you're just going to do like just a gentle brushing. You want to be very careful around their eyes, of course, but once they're sitting still and relaxed, then you don't need to worry so much. And it does get loose fur off, and I like to do the cheek area, brush around his cheeks. Sometimes they can get little knots, in which case you do have to cut those out. You do have to be very, very careful. And I always suggest, as I showed you before, the blunt-ended scissors. That's important. And it just depends on the type of fur. You know, longer fur tends to knot more. Anyway, so just a little of face combing is good. He's enjoying it. And a lot of bunnies actually start purring when they're being groomed because it's like another bunny's licking them. So once they get over all the initial what's going on, and once you're relaxed, that's when you can both enjoy it. All right, so this comb here, what I like to do with this comb is I just kind of pull the fur up a little bit like this, and then I brush around the bottom area. And you can see right away how much that gets out. You do have to be careful because this is metal. Anytime you use metal on a rabbit, whether it's the face comb, this you use very softly and delicately, so I'm not so concerned about that. But if you use one of these brushes like I was talking about, they come in different sizes. You can see these are little spikes of wire, right? So you have to be careful. You're not pushing down and brushing. You're just gently, when you're using this, you're just gently brushing the top and the area, you know, the fuzzy area. So you're using that gently. This comb here is also metal. If you press down and go like that, it's going to cut the rabbit. Rabbits have very, very delicate, soft skin. And so how I'm doing it is I'm going away. This is not even touching the rabbit like that, it's going away from the rabbit. I'll do it on the back so everyone can see more. So I'm just getting the fur. I'm just brushing the fur, or combing the fur. I'm not going like this and combing. I'm going like this. And around this area, you do have to be careful of the tail because there's a bone in the tail. If you press down and like that, you can slice the tail.
Oh.
Yeah. So these, they're not sharp, but because their skin's delicate and it's metal, it's just you have to be very, very careful just to go around. And start off doing it very softly, and then you'll get the idea of how to do it. And you just kind of want to get all this loose fur around here. Oh, he's licking me. Aww, I guess he likes his butt combed. All right, and you can see. See, that's all fur that they're going to ingest, another bird's going to ingest. So it's really, really good to do that. All right. Okay, and then another thing about grooming is you are holding your rabbit, you're spending time, you're kind of running your hands over your rabbit. It's a great time to look and see, are there any lumps, any bumps? Is there anything strange going on with my rabbit? A lot of times people come in for grooming appointments, and I was actually holding a lady's rabbit grooming, and when I felt under the rib, I could feel something, and I could tell it was attached to the rib. It ended up being a mass, and it was cancer. But luckily, it was very small. I told her, go to the vet right away. It was an older bunny. They did surgery, removed it, they got it all, and the bunny's fine. And I've also found like an abscess or something, because a lot of people don't pick up their bunnies, you know, for whatever reason. You know, sometimes something's going on and you don't notice it. So that's why it's really good to really understand your bunny, really hold your rabbit a lot, you know, do the grooming, and just sort of run your hands over and feel anything. Sometimes, you know, there can be a lot of wax in the ears, and if there's a lot in there for whatever reason, you know, they can get infection, there can be different things going on. Sometimes they get something in their ear. You want to check their eyes to notice, you know, there's no wet around the eyes. There's no infection, because sometimes they can even just get a piece of hay or hair in their eye. It can cause the eye to run, and so you want to check for that. And then around the mouth area, they don't really like being touched in the mouth or under the chin like cats do. So I tend to stay away from that. But you want to check and see, make sure there's no wetness here, no drooling, because sometimes that can mean, if you do see that, rabbits don't drool unless something's wrong, and generally that's a tooth problem. And it could just be a tiny molar spur starting to grow that's making them drool. The sooner you find anything, the sooner you can get them into the vet, the sooner they get better. So, all right, does anyone have any questions about any of that? No?
How often should you do the full grooming?
The full grooming, it depends on your rabbit, but, generally, when they're shedding, you want to do it every week. But as far as like the nails, the scent glands, once a month for that is good. And different age rabbits and different types of rabbits, nails grow at different rates. So I'll have one bunny, the nails, 4 weeks later, oh my gosh, the nails are so long. Another one that barely needs cutting. So it's kind of individual, as you know, when you do it, you can see how long the nails get. The nails can break off, and they can break off at the base. When that happens, there's a lot of blood, it's very painful, and it can get infected. And so that's one reason to make sure you keep the nails up, or come in and I can do it. Another thing that happens when the nails are too long, their paws are like this. When their nails are long, they can't put them down, so they put their feet like this, which is painful. The nails start curling. I mean, we rescue rabbits with the nails are like this long, all curled around, and often, with broken off nails. The nails do grow back, but then sometimes they grow back crooked, which can cause other problems. So it's important, and we're always here the weekends for the free nail trims. And during the week, you can always call or text me because I'm down different days. But after this, you'll all be able to do it yourselves, right? This coat here, if you look underneath, the fur normally looks normal. It doesn't look like it's shedding. The reason is rabbits are very low to the ground, so they're continually like laying down, running around, so that fur is already coming off most of the time. If you have a long-haired rabbit, though, they can get knots, and so that is something that has to be done. And it's always good to check and look, because that's another place you just want to check, have a look. How does everything look under here? Looks very cute. So, and rabbits, you never want to just all of a sudden put your hand on a rabbit's stomach. It's going to make them jump. They can't see that. And so basically, if you want to check the stomach, you're going to stroke your rabbit's head, ears, come around the side, and then feel the tummy and the under area. And so I always tell people, imagine if you're like just laying down, all of a sudden, you don't know, and someone just touches your stomach, right? That's what it's like for a rabbit too, So you want to do it in a way that's not going to make them jump, so they know you're touching them already. All right, well, we're going to put Winnie the Pooh back, and then Patrick is going to come around and see who needs bunnies. So if you want to start from one side, and then I'll...